Hi, I'm Annika from iDoc, and in this video I'll show you how you can easily replace the screen of your Galaxy S21 FE. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your great support and trust in this channel. However, our statistics show that 98% of you have not subscribed yet. If the same goes for you, we would be very happy if you make up for it at this point. With your subscription, you will not only support our channel, but also won't miss any of our new videos. Replacing the screen of the S21 FE is the most complex repair, as all components have to be removed. Schedule about 90 to 120 minutes. You will need the following tools. In addition, these tools can be helpful. You can find all tools for this repair, as well as an original replacement screen, in our online store at idoc.eu/en. We've put the links in the info box. First, turn off your Galaxy S21 FE to avoid a potential short circuit. To do so, press the function and silent key simultaneously for a few seconds. Press into the small opening of the SIM tray with a pointed object to push it out of the case frame. We use the SIM tool for this. Then pull the SIM tray out completely. To open the smartphone, you first have to heat up the heavily glued back cover. Use a heat gun or a normal hairdryer to run it evenly over the back cover's edge for a few minutes. Note that the specified IP certification expires after opening. Once the back cover is sufficiently heated, place a suction cup on its lower edge and pull it upwards to create a gap between the back cover and the screen unit. At the same time, insert a flat pick into the gap. If you have difficulties with this, the air flex can help at the beginning. Its sharp edges make it particularly easy to insert. As an alternative to the suction cup, we can recommend the ice click. Thanks to its leverage, you have to use less force to lift up the back cover. Once the beginning is made, run a plastic pick around the back cover and detach it from the case unit bit by bit. Be careful not to insert your tool too far on the sensitive camera module. Put flat picks on the loosened areas so that the glue can't bond again. Once the back cover is completely detached, you can remove all tools and take it off. Continue with the plastic cover over the motherboard, which also has the coil for wireless charging integrated. First, loosen the 9 screws. To avoid losing the screws, we recommend using a magnetic pad. A small arrow on the cover and a notch indicate where you can place your tool to pry it out of the case. Carefully flip the detached cover over. The orange connector of the battery and the black connector of the charging coil are located directly next to each other. Separate them both from the board with a spudger. The battery connector first. Small transistors on the motherboard can be easily damaged, so make sure to pry from a free side if possible. Once both connectors are separated, you can remove the board cover completely. Its lower end is glued and has to be peeled off. Now remove the speaker. Loosen its 6 Phillips screws. Then lever it out of its guide and put it aside. Separate the 2 connectors of the screen cable. Its lower connector is attached to a separate slot, which lies slightly recessed in the screen unit. Put the disconnected cable aside. In the next step, remove the 2 cables connecting the main and USB board by separating their connectors. Then take the detached cables out of the device. Now you can loosen the battery. It is heavily glued and therefore has to be warmed up for a few minutes. Never hit the battery directly, but only from the side of the screen glass or the edge of the case. Once the glue has liquefied a bit, you can use a battery spudger to carefully lever the battery upwards. Try for yourself from which side it can be loosened best. As soon as the battery is lifted up a bit, you can slide a flat plastic tool, such as the iPlastics, under the battery. Push the tool further and further under the battery with the cutting motion, then put the completely loosened battery aside. In the next step, take out the motherboard. Start by disconnecting the two remaining connectors on it. These belong to the front camera and the volume buttons. Loosen the single Phillips screw that holds the board in place. You can then lever the detached motherboard out of the device. Be careful not to damage the still connected main camera or the flex cable of the front camera. Continue with a slightly glued vibration motor. Run a pair of tweezers underneath the motor to detach it from the bottom of the case. A small notch in the motor's guide shows you where to place your tool. To make it easier to loosen, you can warm up the motor briefly beforehand. Now release the heavily glued front camera from its guide. Warm it up thoroughly beforehand. Then use tweezers to carefully slide between the glue and the camera to pry it out. Before you can remove the USB board, you first have to disconnect the fingerprint sensor. Then loosen the 3 Phillips screws that hold the board in place. Lever it out of the device and put it aside. Be careful not to damage the flex cable of the fingerprint sensor. Warm up the slightly stuck fingerprint sensor and release it from its guide by running a pair of tweezers underneath it. You can find an original replacement screen for your Galaxy S21 FE and the appropriate tools for this repair in our online store at idoc.eu/en. Prepare your replacement screen by removing all seals and protective films from the inside. You can leave the protective film on the screen glass on until the end of the repair to protect it from scratches. First, insert the fingerprint sensor into the new screen unit. Press it firmly so that the remaining glue can bond again. The USB board follows. Be careful not to pinch the fingerprint sensor's flex cable. Hold it to the side if necessary. The charging jack has to fit into the case frame in order for the board to sit level. Fix the USB board with 3 Phillips screws. Finally, reconnect the fingerprint sensor on it. Be especially careful when attaching connectors, and never press them down with force. A damaged connector can lead to the failure of an entire component. Put the front camera back into its guide and press it tight. Proceed the same way with the vibration motor. Now insert the motherboard. Again, make sure not to pinch any flex cables. Fix the board with a single Phillips screw. Finally, connect the front camera and the volume buttons. Place the battery in its guide in the screen unit and press it firmly. Position the 2 connecting cables over the battery again. The labeling on the cables helps you with the alignment. Connect them to the USB and motherboard one after the other. You should hear and feel them click into place. Now also position the screen cable over the battery and attach its 2 connectors. Put the speaker back in place. Its plastic lugs must blend into the case frame. If the speaker sits level, you can screw it back in. Now install the board cover. First, connect the charging coil and the battery to the motherboard. The battery last. Then insert the cover back into the case unit. It must sit flat everywhere. Press the glued end of the integrated charging coil onto the speaker. Finally, screw the board cover back in place with the 9 Phillips screws. Before you finally close your S21 FE, we recommend testing the replacement screen. Turn on your device for this purpose. Then drag an app across the screen to see if the touch responds everywhere. Use our checklist to test other basic functions to make sure that your repair was successful. We'll link it to you in the info box. If something does not work properly, check again if all components are connected and screwed correctly. If everything is okay, you can reattach the back cover. If its adhesive frame is still in good condition, you can simply reuse it. If it has defects or no longer sticks properly, you should remove it and attach a new one. Align the new adhesive frame with the back cover and remove its carrier film. Then press it along the edge of the back cover. You can use a spatula, for example, to help you do this. If the adhesive frame is properly seated, remove the remaining protective film. Reattach the back cover to the screen unit. Press it firmly along the frame so that it sits evenly everywhere. To make the glue bond properly, warm the edge of the back cover for a few minutes and then weigh it down with a few books. In the last step, insert the SIM tray again. Make sure that you insert it the right way around. It must audibly and perceptibly click into place. You did it! Your Galaxy S21 FE now looks like new again. I hope the repair of your Galaxy S21 FE was successful. If you found this tutorial helpful, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you next time! You can find high-quality tools, spare parts and accessories for your smartphone repair in our store, iDoc. Everything for your smartphone. Find more repair guides and other helpful videos here.